Alright, here's the seat frame. Seat frame's all done, it's all repaired, all painted. Well, I still gotta paint all the wires. So, spray that, then it'll be done. Then I'll be ready to put the foam back on there and recover it in black. Probably trying to decide what pattern to get for the seat cover. But at least it's all fixed. On the first video, I talked about doing this string and then taking the leftover wires and securing the string to the wire by spiraling it around. That's a pain to do. It takes forever. I had hours just in a quarter of it. Not worth it. So I ended up stopping and I worked on the rest of the frame until I could come up with a better idea. And on the frame itself, the front of it was bowed in, so that was a matter of a hammer and dolly and blocks of wood separating the two pieces. I got it as straight as I could. It's still got a slight bow in it, but I really can't get it any better than that. And then just fixing where I welded, taking a plastic disc, something like this. Works really good for getting all the rust scale off and getting everything down to nice clean metal. This is a Harbor Freight Advanced Auto Part. It's cheaper at Harbor Freight. They're just plastic disc. And they take all the scale off of there and it makes it a lot better to paint it. Versus a wire wheel doesn't do a whole lot. Wire wheel is kind of a waste of time. So if yours is all rusty, that's what you want to use to clean it. But on securing the rope to the wires, I ended up switching to one of these hog ring kits. I got this at Ace Hardware. Ace Hardware also has that thick wire for running along the front and along the back. So if yours is rusted, that would be a place to try and pick up some of that wire. They also have this wire, but using the survey flags, it comes out to be the exact length that you would need to replace it. So instead of getting a long strand and having to measure and cut, survey flags are already the right length. Once you make the bends and everything, I mean, there's no having to measure anything out. So I would still suggest using the survey flags on that. But like I said, the wire you can get from Ace. So I switched over to that, and I end up cutting off all the old ones that I had on there. And these are still steel wire, but it already crimps into a C. I mean, it's a hog ring, so it crimps it like that. And then I use this pair of pliers, adjustable style, to sit there and do it. And you're just kind of squeezing it so it starts to loop around and double up on itself. And then you just keep squeezing it. You can move the pliers around and get the points so that you don't have any of the points sticking up. It's all round circles like that. And then you just squeeze it down, make sure it won't move on it. So ideally that's how it should look. And then once I had them all on there and frame was painted and all that stuff, on these little springs, since the frame was bent and it's still kind of bent, the ones in the middle are a little bit looser than the ones on the outside. So I ended up taking the same pair of pliers and squeezing that hook part right there a little bit tighter to kind of make these a little bit tighter on there. You can still wiggle them, which isn't an issue, but they're a lot tighter than what they were. I didn't do that in because it's too hard to kind of put it in there and fish it around and then pull it out. So I just did that in and I just squeezed them a little bit tighter. So it made it a little bit better spring action on there, and it keeps them from wanting to fall off. A lot of them had fallen off in the middle because this was bent so bad. And then when I tore the frame apart, this is the bolt that goes on the side of it. The one on one of these sides was locked up into this upper frame. right there was on there. So I ended up having to cut the bolt and then hammer out the rest of it out of this frame. Well, you can't get this bolt. I looked in multiple places. I looked on a restoration. I tried Mustang seatbelt bolts, Firebird seatbelt bolts, since those are pretty close. None of them are the same. I didn't get any help from the places that I went to. No one really had an idea. So making 2 new bolts meant going to Ace, and I got an Allen head style bolt. It's a 3/8 bolt. Then I have a thick washer on there. Then it's a sleeve. And by sleeve, basically one of these, it's a hard steel sleeve, not the one with the groove in it. Ace has these in multiple sizes. That was the closest one I could find to 3/8. The inner hole was not 3/8, so I had to drill it out to fit a 3/8 bolt through it. But once you drill it out, 3/8 bolt will go through it, and then on the frame itself, you have to open up the hole on the frame, because the frame itself needs to be able to pivot on that. No, it's not the bolt that moves, it's just the frame sliding on that pin. So, if you need a bolt, that's one way to build a bolt, unless you can find another bolt like that, which I didn't have any luck, and it didn't make me very happy driving around to different places and everyone just looks at you like, I've never seen that in my life. So that works out. It's a stainless steel bolt. There's no real pressure on it, so I don't see it breaking. And it's just a steel, hardened steel washer and a steel bushing like that. And that's it. You see, it's all pretty uniform. On the ends, I ended up double hog ringing the very end wire, and then I just did a hog ring to hold this wire so it's not laying down. But I didn't want to cut it flush with it. I wanted to leave some on there, so I just hog ringed it down. I put the cushion on there and I sat on it and I bounced up and down on it. Nothing broke. It works like it should work. It looked a little weird with me bouncing on it, but it is what it is. I kneeled on it. I put my knees to where it was just focusing more on just a single set of wires. That was with the foam on there. And it has all this bounce to it, so I'm just going to cover it up and call it done. That's it.